The Syrian opposition group in exile has elected a Kurdish activist as its new leader. Abdul Basit Saida has urged mass defections from the regime and pledged support for the Free Syrian Army fighting against President Assad, which could allow the rebels to gain further ground. Well, let's get more on Syria from Asia Times correspondent Pepe Escobar, who joins me now from Doha. Well, Syrian rebels appear to have stepped up their attacks, and now with the newly elected leader of the Syrian National Council saying the group will be the political brains behind the opposition, are we seeing the movement becoming more organised?
Well, this is what they hope, but not necessarily this is what's going to happen. Sida, who comes after Barhum Galyan, is a very shady character. He has very good Kurdish connections, of course, Sunni connections as well, but he's also trying to play to the Christians and to the Alawites, saying, look, if there is a post-Assad government or regime, we're not going to touch you. Nobody believes him inside Syria. In fact, the umbrella, the opposition umbrella, it's a disgruntled matter, in fact. You know, they don't get along with each other, and they are infiltrated on the ground by people who are actually doing a lot of these killings, in fact. And these people, they are mercenaries imported from Libya, by the way, via Qatar, Doha, where I am at the moment. And this is a taboo subject to be discussed here in Qatar. I couldn't find anybody here who would discuss with me, frankly, what the Qatari intelligence services are actually doing on the ground in Syria. But this is part of the Qatari foreign policy. They are financing and weaponizing the really hardcore arm of the Syrian opposition. And I'm not sure Mr. Sida, the new head of the Syrian Transitional Council, knows what's really going on the ground.
Apart from those covert operations you're referring to, what about the official calls for intervention? And they seem to be getting louder, don't they? And interesting to see that Israel has now joined the chorus for some form of foreign intervention, saying, let's do something along the lines of what we saw in Libya. But why would Israel now start to change its opinion, or at least get involved vocally now? Sorry, Israel.
That's a very good question, because I'm not sure even a lot of people in Israel actually know the motives of the Likudniks, because until virtually yesterday, they were saying out loud to the international community, maybe the best thing in Syria is the current status quo, because we know how to deal with the devil that we know, which is the Assad family, of course. Nobody knows what's going to be next. If it's a Syrian Muslim Brotherhood, hardcore Sunni, quasi-Islamist government, this is not a good thing for Israel. Turkey, the same thing. Turkey, they have been playing a double game for months. Everybody knows that NATO, they have a command and control center in Hatay province in southern Turkey. And these people are also weaponizing the incursions of the Syrian defectors and militants across the Turkish-Syrian border. This has been going on for at least 8 to 9 months now. And now it's much more, I would say now we're reaching the point of a total conflagration. The civil war until a few months ago would be theoretically restricted to northern Syria. Now it's spreading all over. Now we're going to have more suicide bomber attacks in Damascus itself, which is the Lebanonization scenario, the Vietnamization scenario, total civil war. Who wants this? It's impossible that the Obama administration, François Hollande in France, David Cameron in England, and the Turks in Ankara want a civil war in Syria, because nobody knows what's going to happen next.
So therefore, Moscow's attempts to get a large grouping of international countries together to come up with some sort of plan, do you think that really is scuppered at the first sign of any interest in doing that?
Well, this is the only possible rational adult solution for this problem. But when you see people nowadays talking about, including people from the Syrian Transitional Council, talking about a foreign intervention outside of the UN. So this means what? This means another NATO war. Obviously, it's going to be vetoed. If it goes to the Security Council, it will be vetoed by Russia and China and even other BRIC countries. But if they come up with some sort of legalese instrument, which, considering what's been happening since the Iraq War, for instance, is very easy to find, we're going to have sooner or later an illegal foreign intervention from some GCC countries, Qatar, where I am at the moment included, Turkey, of course, the US leading from behind, and probably France and Britain as well. So the potential for chaos is unimaginable.
Asia Times correspondent Pepe Escobar, thanks very much indeed for your perspective on the developments there in Syria, talking to us live there from Doha.